All right, welcome back for the episode of Carnivore Trades. Today is Monday, April 22nd, 2024. If you're not done so already, please give the video a thumbs up, like, comment, subscribe to the channel. Come find me on carnivoretrades.com for swing trading alerts, analysis, and live day trading. Anyways, let's get into it today. So, markets here today completing a little bit of a relief bounce. We've got about 15, 20 minutes left in the day, and we are kind of fading here off the highs a little bit here. I do have a buy signal on the NQ that's basically triggering what should be with today's close. Yeah, definitely with that doji look. I like that setup there for, a relief bounce. We talked about this last week. We're kind of looking for, market down 6 days in a row. Bears have had their way without any bounces here, and we finally got a little bit of a relief bounce today. We got the higher highs, little inverse head and shoulder pattern there intraday, and that did trigger. We got up to 50.40, which is definitely some resistance here. That's where we broke down before. You can see right there, hammered, 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 and we're back testing that. And now for bulls, you want to see a higher low here after we filled that gap here and gotten a bid. I don't think it's a major low. It's just something that could be tradable here. Looking at the ES, I don't like that you guys know I don't like the gap up, right? I don't like that in a downtrend. And really, this was not a V shape by any means. And when you see that kind of sideways action, that lets you know it's probably not any sort of major low. That doesn't mean it can't be a tradable bounce, like I was just saying, but definitely not the healthiest price action. But nonetheless, you do have a little buy signal coming into play. There's a couple of cycles and time counts and things that starting to trigger today and into tomorrow. So I am looking for a counter trend bid here. But right now, bottom line, you still got to get through that 50-40 area there on ES. And ideally for bulls, you'd want to hold, at that 5K handle or so, maybe a little bit below that. But again, like I said, there's definitely plenty of room here for a higher low on the hourly. But you got to confirm that hourly breakout by getting above 50-40 here, and then you can start to retrace towards 5100 and so on and so forth. There will be some resistance up there. There will also be some resistance at 5150 with the moving average up there, and then that was obviously the big breakdown area going back to earlier this month. But either way, decent little bounce here, little pullback, and we'll see how we close out the end of the day. But overall, we'll just, it was kind of a slow start to the day at first, just kind of a weak gap up and kind of just a slow grind down. But you see volatility really backing off. I'm actually surprised how much some of volatility backed off today, down 10% on the VIX. Took out not last week's low, but we took out Thursday's low on the VIX, and some of the ETFs really came in. VIXM. I don't talk about this very often, but I do like looking at this for future medium-term volatility. This came down a lot today. VIXI down 8% too, so definitely some hedges coming off, and that's indicative of the bounce here. I do think, though, we're still set up for lower highs, but I still also think that this could certainly be a tradable level here for a dead cat. I mean, I saw a lot of bears complaining today, like, guys, you got your way for 6 days in a row, and really 3 weeks straight with zero bounces. Right. I mean, we look at the intraday here. There's been no bounces this whole way up. So you're going to get a bid, right? When you're up 5 months straight, people are looking for a dip to buy, right? They're not just going to go away. They're, the dip buyers are going to show up, and people who are short are going to want to cover, right? I was covering late last week for this exact reason, anticipating some type of counter trend pop here. But again, bears still in control. But a good bounce here. If we can get back above 50-40, get a little bit more bull control in the near term, then we start looking for resistance and retrace levels on the upside there. But right now, I am expecting a little bit more of a continued bounce. Doesn't mean we're going to rip, but good bid here, and we'll see what we get going into tomorrow. We have, let me just double check. We've got, I think we got a little bit of earnings tomorrow. Tesla, obviously, and then Visa, Texas Instruments. I think Pepsi, GE, GM, Spotify, all reporting. And then we've got the bigger ones later in the week, Meta on Wednesday, IBM, Ford. And then after the market on Thursday, Microsoft, Google, Intel, Snapchat, Roku, and then all the energy guys, energy producers on Friday. So those will be the big numbers. We also have PCE later in the week as well. So right now, but markets, just backing off after getting a pretty good bounce, and we'll just leave it at that right now. Qs here. So, again, do we continue to, even if we continue down, this is why I'm still kind of favoring a little bit more of a continued bounce here. As you look at the Qs, we're going into the previous all-time high. If we dumped out, let's say tomorrow, I mean, what are we going to do? Go to 408? I mean, and then you're going to get a rip. Then you're going to get a rip your face off rally, right? So I think right here for bears, you actually kind of just want to let it drift up a little bit for a few days. It's not the worst thing in the world to see that happen. So kind of, and you're near this chop zone here on the Qs that we put in at the beginning of the year. So even if we do try to sell off, I don't think it's going to last very long. You'll get more of kind of a slingshot type move. And there's the SPX with the 100 MA right below that. But either way, for the Qs here, again, on the upside, you got to get it back above that 100. Q's still weak, right? Look at the semis, up 2%, but not really a great, we're nowhere close to Friday's high. And IGV, same thing. Well, actually, IGV got kind of close here. So IGV getting a little bit better of a bounce. But, certain stocks, SMCI under pressure. I think that's probably putting in a tradable low, though, too. NVIDIA getting a bounce here. But, AMD, not too much here so far. So some of these semis not really participating. A lot of tech today. Look at Meta. It tested lower prices earlier. It was actually red for quite a while. Amazon managed to finish up a little bit, but definitely not the greatest. I mean, Microsoft, again, green, but testing the lows here. So not the greatest. Technology was kind of the one laggard sector here. What I noticed is fins and energy were the strongest. But in any case, Qs here, this is your big line in the sand, right? So this held for a month. It broke down. If we got back up there, I'd expect that to be major resistance. So that's bottom line here. Russell 2000, here's another reason why I think we can get a little bit more of a bounce. Take a look at the IWM intraday. Very good price action. We broke out first, right? So there's 12:10 p.m. IWM breaking out. And the spiders tried and then they pulled back, whereas the Russell kind of just held up and then pushed higher lows. Look at that in the morning versus lower lows. So good to see the Russell holding up and leading. So that, again, tells me there's a little bit of money flow here. Where's your resistance? Big money, easy. 200, right? Whole round number, big level. Speaking of whole round numbers, I did do some work over the weekend and just to hindsight this, but we talked about 5K SPX for OPEX. We talked about 500. I'm thinking that ES was the actual target. And the reason I say that is because look at where it closed on Friday, 5,003 spot 50. So it may just be that they pushed this down to get ES there more so than everything else, and now we can get that relief bid. So just one thing that I noticed there, good bounce here as we get closer to the end of the day. But anyways, IWM 2K, take a look at that. Dow here trying to kind of negate this bear flag look. Still inside bar, so it's still, until proven otherwise, till you close above that, it's still bearish inside bar. And then even above that, you have 385 and change as some more resistance. You got the moving averages above that, but good bounce there for the Dow, up 75 basis points today. All right, semis we talked about here. Again, and even if we go down a little bit lower, I just don't see us getting much through 195, 196. But next bounce level, 212 and then 220 there on the SMH are your levels. IGV, we'll look at 82 and then 83. Maybe even if it gets a really good bid, it can go back up and retest this trend line here. But IGV with that big breakdown on the weekly, I don't like that. Transports today had a very good day, although they came off the highs. We're going to close back above 15.2, but the damage is done, right? You already negated, the bullish inside bar with the close last week. So I don't like this on the weekly. I think I think transports are sell the rip now. Where's your first level? 15.4, right there. And then above that, I'd have to do a little bit more work. It's kind of messy up here, but we'll just say like 15.7 for now. All right, interest rates today. So kind of quiet in rate land. 2 years still holding up, still got the higher lows and the bullish inside bar. That makes me bearish big picture. This moving average is catching up to price too. Probably will catch up to price right around PCE time at Thursday or Friday. Just be aware of that. 5s, 10s, and 30s also backing off as well. But pattern-wise, nothing terrible on either of those. All right, XHB also bouncing here up 88 cents, but not the greatest bounce here, right? You're starting to go sideways. You don't want to see that for too long. Could be setting up another bear base. We'll see what we get towards the middle of the week. Again, it was kind of a slow start to the week for a lot of things. Short term, we'll say 104, 104.50, maybe even 105 are your retrace levels here on the XHB. VNQ actually had a good bounce too, up 1%, but again, really ugly failed pattern. If this got up into 82, I think it's probably a fade. 83 would be, I think, high risk reward for a fade play. XLF very strong today. So up 1.2, and this was up all day. So even in the morning, right? Again, we talked about the Russell with the higher lows. Look at this. This actually made a higher high at 10 o'clock. And it never kind of pulled back in with the market. It just went a little dip here and then just strong all day long. It, backing off a little bit towards the end of the day, but Fin's still very strong. And again, like I said last Friday, that's the biggest point for bulls right now, is that financials are still strong. If that remains the case, and this is post earnings too, so it's not like, oh, they're just holding up because of earnings or whatever. They're holding up after earnings. That's a really strong sign. That's probably the biggest thing for bulls that they can hang their hat on right now, given the price action and the rest of the market. KB or KRE holding up as well. Still got that big fat bear inside bar, which I don't like, but on a relative basis, it's had 4 up days in a row, and the market is just carving out its first in the last 7. So these are things I pay attention to. KBE, same thing. That bullish inside bar on the weekly is still intact. And the broker dealer is also up 1.5 today, so good move there. I still think that wants 560 eventually, but good day today. Oil, again, down 15 cents. This probably contributed to the gap up today for the spiders. Just no geopolitical real escalation over the weekend, and oil kind of backing off. That did help out. Really kind of a tough pattern here because we had that big outside spike with a contract roll the same day on Friday. And then today, another kind of tail candle. I'm just kind of neutral on oil right now. I do think the highs are in for right now. Could it get a bit off this trend line? It's certainly possible. Maybe you could even extend it here and say it's touching, whatever. But we'll see what kind of pattern. If it starts going sideways, I think it's setting up for a move down. Needs to really get back above 85, 85.50 here to have a chance to really advance higher. XLE was holding up though, and what I like about what it did on Friday is it closed above that high. So you never negated that breakout candle, and you never negated the breakout candle low. So XLE could theoretically just go sideways here and then put in a bull flag and then go higher on the weekly. If oil backs off, I don't think that's going to happen, but theoretically that's how it could work. Next level here is right around 91.50, 92 if it heads down. And then you've got a little bit of ways to go because you didn't really build support on the way up here if it continues to retrace. XOP, same idea there. Although on the weekly, it never really made those new multi-year highs, but still a good rally there for XOP, and it is backing off right now. It's either going to go sideways or going to correct back down, probably into the mid 140s. And then OIH here, red today, new lows, not new closing low, but made a slight new low. It's holding 320 for now. If it gets down there, 310. So that's backing off here. CCJ also backing off, but still looking fine here on the bigger time frames. These are still okay. Nothing's really changed, just big consolidation patterns. Nat gas hammering on the door here. So this is the front, and it's up 2% here. The second contract up 3.5. So that's a good sign to see the back contracts work better. Up 3.5 means the move's probably a little bit more sustainable. But you're hammering on this little wedge here. We'll see if it can bust through that. Pattern looks a lot better here intraday, and if it can get through that, I think you can push up to 191 and then $2. There is going to be a contract roll on this later this week, so it's going to get adjusted to $2 anyway, because I think that the M contract's at 205, which so it's already above 2, but that'll get adjusted here anyway. But it's hammering on that level We'll see if it can continue. Dollar index just putting in a flag pattern. So again, much like the 2-year, which I showed you a minute ago, and all interest rates, right? Just going sideways here. The 20 MA catches up, it can go higher. It's still a lot of supply to eat through up here, though. So be aware of that. Gold backing off pretty sharply. Again, we had a sell signal last week, or should I say the Friday before, and I think this will continue to back off here. It should be a buying opportunity, but right now, definitely a local high in place and a pretty good sell. Pretty good outside move down on both gold and silver. Silver down almost 5.5. Again, we talked about 26, 26.50. I think that's where it wants to go ultimately. Platinum backing off as well, though it's hitting this trend line now, and we'll see if that can get going. Got 7 days in a row down on that, so that may be due for a bounce here. And then palladium still pretty quiet. But still, in my opinion, pretty cheap down at these levels. I think copper is getting a little overdone here. Got almost up to, got to 455. There's another pivot here at 457. Maybe 460 it could overshoot to, but it's starting to get a little stretched. Big level here at 425 if it does pull back. But what a run for copper. That has been on fire here. Then Bitcoin here, getting a nice little continued bounce here. There's going to be resistance up here around 68.5, 69. And I do think it puts in lower highs there. That said, you guys know what I'm going to say. The weekly pattern is still pretty good. And it's getting better. It's just coiling. Nice base there. I think Bitcoin looks all right. All right, again, so market's closing in about a minute. A little bit more of a pullback here. So bears still flexing their muscles a little bit. Again, I definitely have a buy signal here on specifically the Qs, but really just kind of all markets. It's not a huge buy signal, but it's definitely something I think is tradable here. And we'll see if we get a little bit more of a bounce going into the latter part of the week. Again, the more that we're down into earnings too, the more it's going to be, the more any sort of bad news is priced in. We also have some inflation data later this week, but in any case, we'll see what we get going into tomorrow. Again, 50-40, that's going to be the big level to watch for bulls to get over here over the next couple of days. So anyways, guys, going to wrap up here. You guys take care. Come find me on carnivoretrades.com. I'll talk to you guys all tomorrow.